Hey there, all my Rotation 411 astrology initiates. So today we're going to finally go over Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon. If you want to check out the rest of the series, there's a playlist. We've done Aries Sun through Libra Sun with Aries Moon so far, and we're planning on doing all 144 videos of every sun and moon combination. So the first 20 minutes we'll talk about what is Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon primarily, the personality being the sun and the emotional life being the moon in combination. And then we'll go over what this combination looks like with each different rising sign. So in total, we'll be going over 1,728 combinations throughout the series with 144 videos. If you are watching this and you're not a Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, I am going to kind of jump around after we get through Aries Moons. So do put your combination below and I will try to get to it sooner. And so with that being said, one more thing I just want to say really quickly is if you are single and you're looking for your perfect astrological match, I specialize in synastry, and we created an astrology dating app that will match you based on your moon signs, on the theories that I find to be very relevant in practice and in observation with successful couples versus unsuccessful couples. So if you want to check that out, it's divinetimingdatabase.org, or you can get there with the shortcut. You just type in moonmatch.love in your browser. And so with that being said, let's hop into it. So I did pull out some of my astrology books to kind of reference to get me, fresh, you get it fresh in my mind. But I do have sort of a theme that I think is going to be very relevant for Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, and that would be Pluto and Mars. So we're going to be talking a lot about those planets. Scorpio was traditionally ruled by Mars, and Aries has always been ruled by Mars. But when they found Pluto, that was attached to Scorpio as well. So that is the modern day ruler of Scorpio. So this is one thing that Aries and Scorpio have in common. And although Scorpio is a fixed sign, okay, so fixed means that you're very much center, and then things kind of gravitate around you and you kind of pull things in. Every element, there's 4 elements: earth, air, water, and fire, has a fixed sign. So Scorpio is the fixed water sign, and then Aries is the fire cardinal sign. Cardinals are initiators, they like to start things. So being a fire and cardinal versus fixed and water are very different personalities, but they work very well together often. You might find a Scorpio and an Aries couple that's very tight knit because of that Mars rulership traditionally. So I did pull out this book also, and I'm kind of going to be playing devil's advocate with it. I love this book. It's called Love on a Rotten Day. I've had it for years, and my books have been in storage. I recently moved, and so I finally got this out, and I was looking at, the Aries Moon thing, and I remember that it does have a Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon definition as well. So I won't leave you all hanging. I will read it, but I really do disagree with, a lot of what it says in here about Aries Moons. And, Scorpios, along with Geminis, can sort of get stigmatized. People will be like, oh, don't mess with Scorpios. And yes, you definitely don't want to be on a Scorpio's bad side or burn a Scorpio. But I don't think that Scorpios ever are vengeful without justice or without due cause. Okay. So I guess I'll read it to you guys, but I want to give you, I'm going to say that I don't agree with this. But just because I brought it up, I will read it. It says, unless you are into whips and leather or an extreme survivalist, run as fast as you can from the Scorpio-Aries combination. These boys and girls have volcanic tempers and are so selfish, nothing else will come first. So I hope you guys don't click off. I'm not calling you selfish. I actually don't agree with this. What I think... And I was reading about Aries moons in general because it talks about that before it goes into the combinations. And so I thought it would be a good reference for these videos. But it says like Aries moons, shed lovers faster than our spouses, faster than Geminis, and all this stuff. And honestly, most of the Aries moons that I have come across are quite monogamous and in long-term commitments. So I do feel like being a Scorpio Sun, Aries moon, you are more likely, either, because Scorpios really bring those that they love in close to them. It's almost a sense kind of like a Cancer rules the family, where they're like crabs and they're all like very tight knit. I also feel that way with Scorpios. Scorpios like seclusion generally, and can be quite reclusive. Now other signs can as well, like Virgo placements, because Virgo is the hermit in the tarot. They can tend to be reclusive as well. With an Aries moon, you may not feel that you're that way. And for some of you, it's going to be one extreme or the other. So, nothing I'm saying is an absolute. And often in astrology, we'll find that we're dealing with spectrums. So for an example, I'm very good at guessing what somebody's sign is. Generally, based off first impression. I've been doing this since I was a teenager in Barnes and Noble, reading all of these astrology books. And usually it's some sort of tell, like when someone's lying, if you're like one of those lie detector people, which actually Scorpio rules the eighth house. And just on that note, is very good at knowing the truth about things. So often Scorpios are very good at picking up tells, and very good at seeing right, cutting right through the, riffraff and seeing the truth. They're very good at making quick judgments about someone and being right about that. They make very good like detectives and PIs, especially with an Aries moon. You're going to have that energy to back you up on that. Maybe some of you can even dedicate your lives because you're able to be out of the house and be really independent. But you kind of going back to the tight knit thing, you will definitely be those that you keep close to you, you're very protective of. If you think of a scorpion, they have the stinger on the back, but they have that hard shell, kind of like a crab. So, Cancers are water signs as well. Generally, they go very well with Scorpios. So, that's because, you keep those boundaries with the outside world strong, and you keep those that you love close to you. Now, I would say with Scorpios, more so than maybe Cancers, you're going to be more receptive to people that maybe aren't like that you weren't born close to. Like, for example, just to give some contrast, Cancer people, like whether it's their sun or moon, tend to, they'll really keep people close to them that they've known since childhood, and they'll kind of favor those people even if they're not necessarily healthy for them. It can be a bit insidious for them. But Scorpios are very discerning, a lot like Gemini in that way, which is a very different sign as well. It's a mutable air sign, about who they bring around them. And with an Aries moon, you are going to be very independent by nature. So it's going to be easy for you to cut ties with people, or to just write people off initially because you just kind of see right through them. Water is very intuitive. And again, Scorpio, I don't know if I got to this part. This is where I was going. Scorpio rules the eighth house of known secrets. So, you are very perceptive, and you'll see right through people, and you'll probably know, my intuition is a lot like this, what their secrets are. Like if they have a secret gambling addiction, or even if they have something that like you wouldn't even want to speak of, you're going to know that about that person. And you may or may not judge them. I think some Scorpios may judge people harsher than others, but you'll probably just give them the grace and the distance for the most part, as long as they don't kind of come mess up your, nest or your circle. So, with that being said, let's see, because we're not going into the risings quite yet. So, I want to go back to that Pluto Mars theme for you guys. And so this initial part will be about 20 minutes. Pluto is the ruler of the eighth house as well, Scorpio's house. It's the modern day ruler of Scorpio. And Pluto deals with death, rebirth, regeneration. It's about like when we go through the solar cycle every year, right? It starts with Aries and it ends with Pisces. That's sort of the zodiac new year is like March 21st or 22nd, depending on which year. We get to Scorpio season, and I've always noticed, how the seasons change, the energy changes in the collective. So when we get to Scorpio season, a lot of times people are really going through like the annual shedding of, things dying off that no longer serve them type of energy, or, really facing their shadow side of whatever's going on with them that year. For some people it could be longer cycles, and it hits them during Scorpio season where it becomes very clear to them, right? Because this is about known secrets. So it's like the things that you hide, but that you're hiding, okay? So like Pisces, which is the other water sign that I haven't mentioned yet, is mutable. That's the 12th house. That's the collective unconscious. So that's like dreamland, okay? That's imagination. Those are like unknown things that we don't understand, or universal things like it deals with death. So Scorpio and Pisces both deal with death, but it's like we don't know necessarily where we go after we die. But Scorpio, dealing with death and rebirth, and it's also the house of sex. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. So it's regeneration, of the species. It's the phoenix dying and rising from the ashes. so it's like, okay, so you're a Scorpio, so you're like, okay, does that mean my life is going to be riddled with these like negative connotated things? No, I think it actually means that you are better with handling these things in life and helping other people with these things. Scorpio, along with Aries being ruled by Mars, is probably the sign that you want to go to in a time of crisis. And people, you know, with that Mars rulership, I've said this about Mars recently. If you watch my channel, and we do a lot of different types of aspects, and if you are dealing with Mars, I said this the other day, that Mars is the warrior. So he is the warrior no matter what side he's on, whether it's right or it's wrong. It's the right side. It's like in a story, the villain still has his purpose. He is fighting for his cause. And so when it comes to Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, it's definitely someone that you want to have on your side and not against you, because they are going to be the warrior with that double Mars rulership of Scorpio and Aries. And with that hard shell of the Scorpion, it's somebody that is going to be able to endure a lot. So if somebody does pass away or you're grieving, that's going to be the strong person in the room, but the thing about Aries is, it's the baby of the zodiac. That's your moon sign here, which the moon is the emotional placement. It's your emotional life. It's sort of your inner world. The moon also rules, it's Cancer's traditional rule. The moon rules Cancer, which is family, right? And the mother. So it's your home. It's the family you grow up in. It's also who's going to be a really good mate for you is somebody that's compatible with your moon. So for an Aries moon, even though you're a Scorpio sun, which is a water sign, you really want to find a partner who has an Aries, Leo, Sagittarius moon, or possibly an air moon would even go very well with you. So with that being said, you are going to be one of the most loyal combinations here, and whether your person is right or wrong, I've said this with other Aries moon combinations, I think, but it's like that's the person that's going to help you bury a body, you know what I mean, and never tell with Scorpio, but you both know where it is, and I'm not condoning anything like that, but and for some of you, I do feel like you're going to be like, I fight for justice. Maybe you have a Libra rising or Sagittarius rising, and it is good to watch all the way through, because I do kind of go back and forth. Even when we're going through the rising signs, I'll go, oh, wait, I forgot something about Taurus rising, but you might say, no, I will only be on the right side of justice, and that's okay, because Sagittarius rules the law and justice, and, in the tarot deck, justice is Libra. So for some of you might say, no, I would never be on the wrong side of anything. I always, go for the right side, and I'll influence those around me, and and you might be the first one to turn somebody in. So and this is kind of goes to the loyalty. So I have a friend, he's like, even if he did commit a terrible crime, he said his mother would, be there for him. And families are like that. With this combination, you might be that loyal to someone that you would be there for them even when they're wrong. But you're definitely going to tell them what's right. You're going to tell them that they're wrong. Now, kind of going into a Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon personality that I've come across recently, and I couldn't confirm whether their moon is Aries or is Taurus, but I'm pretty sure it's Aries, but it might be Taurus. You guys are definitely going to show your emotions a lot more than other Scorpios. Like I said, Scorpio, it can be a more reserved sign, like the earth signs. So generally, Scorpios would be a bit more reserved about their emotions. It is the deep well of the water signs. I like to think that, like, a Pisces is sort of a river that adapts because it's mutable, and Cancer is sort of this big, vast, deep ocean where that's why they keep together from all the elements. But Scorpio is more of that land water sign, right? And so I think of you guys as like this deep well, with the truth being in there. And there's also things with the 8th house where they talk about, like, if somebody has their sun in the 8th house, which some of you may, your sun may be in Scorpio in the 8th house, which is really going to add a more scorpionic flavor. You're sort of like this bright light coming out of the cracks of the concrete where people see you, but you're over there and you're real mysterious, because that's really connotated with Scorpio as well, being a mystery. But especially with your sun being in Scorpio, people are drawn to that mystery because the sun shines a light on it, and people want to get to know you, and it may sometimes annoy you, So as an Aries moon, your emotional nature is a go-getter. You want to go get things, and as a Scorpio, you're going to be kind of covert about it. Now, I'm not saying like covert, like you know, like narcissists that, that's like the terrible N word nowadays. But I'm saying um, like you're, like I said, you could be a good PI because you're going to be able to stay under the radar and get your mission done. So like any Aries, especially sun placement, you don't like when people get in your way. And as a Scorpio sun, you already were kind of under the radar. So if somebody like pops up and they're standing right in front of you, you're going to be like, move out of the way, so you might get quite frustrated easily. But I feel like I would say Scorpio is probably one of the more independent water or even feminine signs, which is water and earth. And then with an Aries moon, even more so. But again, you're going to have the people that you keep close to you, very close to you. And you're going to, Aries is a very protective sign as well with that Mars rulership. So you will protect those that you love till the end. You will be more likely to take on new people, but you will know quite quickly. I always say this as an Aries sun about Scorpios in general, that they either love or hate me from the gate. They're either right away like, okay, she's cool, I like her, she's my people, and we will be like this. And people won't necessarily expect that we would be that tight knit, because I'm a lot more gregarious with the Libra rising, so they would think that the Scorpio would probably be annoyed by me. But I'm sort of usually they're a little operative. They're like staying in the house. Like, could you run and grab me this and that? And then I'm in there just hanging out with them, and we have deep conversations, and I love hearing. Scorpios really like history too, I feel like. They're good at, this is something else that I had touched or come across recently. Like, they're really good at researching. It was kind of like a Virgo versus Scorpio thing, because Virgos are really analytical and about detail. So it's like Scorpio is also really good at, it's like a certain word. It's like the research, like gathering all the history and the facts and putting together, timelines, which I feel like Aries kind of does too. So especially with this placement, Scorpio and Aries, you might really be interested in timelines. I just got that for some of you because I do this a bit intuitively because it's kind of on the fly. But with that Aries moon, you could be a bit of a historian, and Aries is about the self. So you might take a real interest in like people's stories, autobiographies and stuff, and really like to get to know people on a deep level. So you actually might like open books more. You're emotionally not going to hide a lot. So when you're upset, more than most Scorpios, you are going to show it. You'll keep your cards close to your chest as far as your strategy and your game plan, because that's very Scorpio. And Aries is God of War, so that's also very strategic placement. But when you're upset, because Aries is the baby of the zodiac and that's your emotional placement, you are not going to have any shame in letting everyone know how you feel about things, especially those close to you. So you're definitely not one to mess with, but like in a good way, and people will learn very quickly where they stand with you, whether you like them or not, and what your boundaries are. And you will have very strong boundaries as a Scorpio sun, and as an Aries moon, you're not one to mess with. Let me tell you that. So I'm going to go ahead and take a breath before we get into the rising signs. I work on a platform, so I'm going to answer a client really quick and take a moment to kind of, marinate on this so that we can dive into all the rising signs. And, I may start when I click back with a little more on this, I'm sure, because I always like, oh, wait, I should have said this or that. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so before we jump into the rising signs, I do want to say, if you like this video, remember to subscribe, and you can see all of the big 144 series, see everyone that you know, or if you're a cross watcher, you can wait for your sun, moon, rising combination. And also, we are doing a promo for divinetimingdatabase.org, so if you do enter there to the dating app, if you're like it's for every 100 entries, you can win a hoodie. So if you're the 1200th entry or the 1300th, on that 100th mark, you will receive a free hoodie, a white hoodie with the Divine Timing Database logo, and it's pretty cool. I'm waiting for mine in the mail right now. So anyways, with that being said, we're going to start with Aries rising, Scorpio sun, Aries moon, but I do encourage you to watch through, because I do kind of go back and forth sometimes. One will remind me of another, and it does really get into the meat and potatoes more of what is a Scorpio sun, Aries moon. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm going with Aries rising right now. Is it reminds me, I like to use the tarot as well, because I read tarot based on astrology. That was sort of my journey with tarot. If you subscribe to the channel, I do from time to time do general tarot readings when I get around to it, but I have a lot of different things going on, a lot of moving parts. So With that being said, Aries is the emperor in the tarot, which, you know, to me is the fourth major arcana. So to me, it's kind of like the Four of Wands, which is also fire. Wands is fire. That's the four pillars, right? It's a foundation for any kind of home. So, you know, the emperor builds empires. So in your emotional space, it is very important to you that your family is secure. You know, the emperor also is the father of all four kings, four again, of tarot. Some of you might find with Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, that 4 or 8, because Scorpio rules the 8th house, are very significant numbers to you. Also possibly the number 1, Aries being the first. With that being said, you will feel that it's very important to provide a very strong, secure foundation for your family. And as an Aries rising, you're really going to be a go-getter, cardinal side. You're going to be out there. You know, we were talking about how, you know, Scorpio will be with an Aries moon, will be on a mission, you know, because of that cardinal drive of the moon and being able to be very independent. So while you will really feel that it's important to provide, you know, I do feel like Scorpio, I would connotate with a provider. I'm not so sure if it's just because I have Scorpio in my second house, which is resources, you know, which is sort of a foundation of a family as well. In Vedic astrology, we you know, in Western astrology, the 4th house is family, but in Vedic, the 2nd house has a lot to do with family. So for me, I do just personally connotate Scorpio with being a good provider, you know, in Aries as well. So you will really take care of your own, but you will be, with Aries rising and an Aries moon, able to really get out there and carve new ground, you know. And again, with that Scorpio sun, you're going to be very discerning. You're not going to waste a lot on excess. Now, this book that I was reading, where it says Aries moons can be quite self-indulgent. You know, I tend to know Scorpios. I also want to say this about Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon. This is why I say to watch through. You are either going to be in a relationship, like a long-term relationship. Like Scorpio, I've said this with other Scorpio, I think Scorpio rising placements we've touched on so far, that, you know, Scorpio tends to be very good at securing a partner and having a very long-term relationship. But Scorpio also is fine with isolation, like kind of like Pisces. The 12th house rules isolation, and Aries is very independent. So you also are just fine with being alone, you know. And they always say, like, in order to be in a relationship, you have to love yourself and be okay with yourself first. Like, I feel like that's inherent for you, for most of you, unless you have other things going on in your chart. So you're really going to draw that partner easily because you already have that inherently, if that makes sense. But if you don't have that, if you don't have a romantic partner, you are going to be just fine on your own, especially with the double Aries. You're going to be a go-getter. You're going to be out there. You may have to be a little bit careful of not being too reckless with an Aries rising. You know, we were talking about this yesterday when we did Sun conjunct Chiron, because that was just happening in Aries, that, you know, Aries can be accident prone. So as an Aries rising, you know, and it rules the head, and so Scorpio rules the reproductive organs, you need to be mindful of, you know, not letting your head, you know, your head or your reproductive organs rule your drive. And as a younger Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, that might be more challenging. So, you know, but as a Scorpio Sun, if you can get into like a secure sort of monogamous partnership, or even like, you know, just if you're same sex, just, you know, a one-on-one partnership, that is going to shield and protect you from a lot of trouble, I'm gonna say, because if you are an Aries rising, you're going to be very dynamic, and you're going to attract a lot of attention when you're out there sort of on your mission carving ground, and because you're going to be a little bit more impatient than maybe the other combinations, you know, you could kind of start, you're going to be more a little bit like what that book's saying about Aries moons, where you might like start a lot of fires, okay, or relationships, and then just be done with them because they're not going to serve, you know, the kind of connection that would make you feel secure as a Scorpio sun. And so it could upset a lot of people, or you could you could possibly create a lot of enemies. I don't think that that's going to deter you or frighten you. But as a younger, more impulsive, with a lot of Aries in your chart, Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, Aries Rising, you definitely have to be careful of, you know, Pluto. And I was talking about this yesterday also in that video, and I've touched on it in other videos. I think in the Are You Wasting Your Time video, we talk a lot about Mars conjunct Pluto, and I just touched on it yesterday, which is very much, you know, Scorpionic energy, because you're ruled by Mars and Pluto. You know, it's a very powerful energy, one of the great debates. See, and so I hope you guys didn't click off when we were like, oh, it's not my rising sign yet, you know, or went to the timestamp, because now, see, I'm getting more into Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon. But you know, it's a very, very powerful placement, Pluto and Scorpio, Pluto and Mars conjunction. And so the great debate is whether who's the most powerful sign. And it really does come down to Scorpio and Aries. Now, there is the power cusp, which is Aries and Aries and Taurus. Now I'm all over the place. I need to slow down a bit here. Aries and Taurus, you know, like April 20th is the power cusp. So anybody born between like April 19th and April 22nd, you know, that one terrible historical figure that tried to take over the world and killed a lot of people in the process. I mean, there's a few of those, but he was born on April 20th. I don't even like to say the name, because there's some sort of effect, they call it, where like it'll always come back to him or something. It starts with an H. If you guys don't know, he was in Germany. You know, power can be either used for the greater good or for destruction. And because Scorpio deals with crisis, death, rebirth, you know, you're not afraid of death necessarily. I'd say Scorpio and Pisces are the least afraid of death, because you deal with themes of death, and you have a little bit of the ability to kind of, you know, water signs to me are the most spiritual and intuitive, so they're the most tapped into the other side of the veil. I feel like Scorpio, it's a little bit more on this plane though. And it's like, you know, dealing with the actual matter of this plane, like the subconscious and the dwellings of the material, more so almost like an earth sign is how I kind of describe it, where again Pisces is more with actually that spiritual side. So I would say Scorpio's dealing more maybe with the energies that we don't see around us on earth, where Pisces is dealing more with the energies that we're connecting to and on the other side of the veil. You know, you're dealing with those so Pisces is dealing with the ones on the other side of the veil. Scorpio is dealing with the ones that are present among us. If that's actually a good one, I'm going to keep that. So when we're dealing with Pluto conjunct Mars, it's very similar to, you know, having very strong Scorpio and Aries placements. It's a very powerful thing. I was saying this yesterday, so if you watch that video, it might seem redundant, but a lot of you haven't, so I'm just going to say it again. You know, Eddie Murphy is one of the most powerful comedians ever to live. He has Mars conjunct Pluto in his chart. Again, these are the rulers of Scorpio and Aries. So, but then also I've heard astrologists say, and I have seen this, I grew up with an Aries Sun, Scorpio Moon. He was born 4 days after me. I'm an Aries Sun, Virgo Moon, and he was his life was ended at a house party because he was a little scrapper. He was very adorable, and he wanted to, you know, scrap because he's a young kid. So especially if you're younger, you know, be mindful of your aggression and things like that, because you are going to be quite fearless, you know, and really learn to channel and transmute that energy, because you could turn into the best of the best and be very powerful and well respected. And so that's also something, when you're younger, you could create enemies and people might hate you, but when you get older, so it's like that's the shadow side, right? You can create enemies, or you could even stir up people against you that may want to take your life with strong Pluto Mars, okay? But you also can use that and transmute it and use it for a higher purpose. You know, if you set a goal for yourself, and I always tell you guys to set your goals way bigger than you think are possible and way further out than, you know, it's like, yes, we all want to be a millionaire tomorrow, okay? But if you can make a 5-year plan, you know, that you want to own the biggest house in the town, you know, you might actually be a homeowner in 5 years, okay? Whereas if you're just like, I want to buy a house tomorrow, you know, it's probably not going to happen. And then every day for the next 5 years, you're going to feel defeated, you know? But if you just go, okay, in 5 years, I want to own the biggest house in town, you're at least going to reach home ownership if you don't actually manifest the house. You know, I've done a 5-year plan. I wanted to move to Los Angeles. I did it in 3 years, but then I've done, you know, 5-year plans, and it's been 10 years and nothing has happened. Okay. So, you know, if you can get really clear with that Aries, you know, you can be very one-track minded, and Scorpio can be very fixed on something. right? It's a fixed sign. And Scorpio draws resources, because I was kind of talking about this with the security of the second house, but second house is Taurus, the opposite of Scorpio. So Scorpio rules the eighth house, and that also is sex, death and taxes, rebirth, regeneration. But it also has to do with other people's resources and inheritances. So, as a Scorpio sun, especially if your sun is in the eighth house, you're more likely to have a decent inheritance, especially if your sun is in the eighth house, or take over the family business, because Scorpio does do very well, again, with sort of the family that they come from generally. They usually have a pretty solid foundation. So if you, not always, Pluto can also deal with poverty as well. So some of you may have come from, immense poverty, and you actually probably were quite good at gathering resources, and being someone that other people, when they're out there struggling, look to, or okay, they've got it, I can make it through, like a survival crisis type. Again, this is the person that you want, you want to look to in times of crisis, because they're going to be the solid one. That doesn't mean you guys don't feel it, especially being a water sign, but you're really able to stay strong in those kinds of times. So I know I'm kind of jumping on 4 or 5 different points here. I got ahead of myself. But yes, when you guys are younger, especially with an Aries rising, you want to be very careful of head injuries. You want to be careful of not being too promiscuous, because, it does deal with the reproductive system. And Aries is ruled by Mars, so it's phallic. So it's one of the most primal in nature, as far as, spreading its seed far and wide. Leo rules the 5th house of children, so that can be quite a thing there as well, especially with the masculines. There can be quite a lot of offspring, depending on the placements. I was just talking to a client about that the other day. So I'm going to start segueing into Taurus sun, because I wanted to spend about 3 minutes on each rising sign, and we're well over that now. But because I want these videos to be about an hour, so but I would stay tuned, because I'm very likely to retouch on Aries rising as we go through. So with a Taurus rising, you're going to be a bit more reserved than an Aries rising, because you're going to be Taurus is the opposite of Scorpio, and now we're bringing Venus in, because Venus rules Taurus, and Venus is, she's the goddess of love, right? So now we've got the goddess of war in your emotional placement with the goddess of love, in your rising sign. This can also apply for Libra risings, because that's Venus ruled as well. So you are going to be much more reserved, quieter, probably a bit more of a homebody. You probably are really going to like to deal with materials, possibly cooking. Taurus really likes, rules the house of food and eating, because Taurus rules the throat, the second house, the throat chakra. So for some of you, you may be quite quiet. Now with an Aries moon in the home, or with those close to you, like your family and your intimate partners, you will be a lot more talkative, but it's only going to be the people that really know you well. When you're out in public with a Taurus rising, you're going to be a lot more reserved in nature generally. You are going to be very observant as a Scorpio sun. And you probably, kind of like a Cancer rising, are going to be a little bit more particular about who you hang out with, and a little bit less receptive to new energies. But you're going to be a little bit more, a little slower moving than like the Aries rising. The Aries rising is going to be out there, a go-getter. You are going to be very methodical. You're going to think through things. You're going to take your time. But when you decide to take action, you guys are going to be you're going to have, if you decide to do a 5-year plan, you're going to spend more time mulling over it and thinking about it, and really good about, getting in that feeling place of what would it be like to have that, and as you do spend a little more time alone, or just with really close loved ones. So, and also I feel like for you guys, you're more likely to be in a relationship for a very long time as well. Like I said, that's going to be some of you Scorpio Sun, Aries Moons. So you may be one of those people, and I've said this with other combinations with Aries Moon, that, marries your high school sweetheart, and you're just together for life. And if that didn't happen for you, you might feel the void of that more as well, being Venus ruled in the ascendant. So you may be always sort of seeking that partner. But with Venus and Mars, your ascendant and your moon, you're going to have a completion in yourself as well. So if you don't have a partner, you're going to be able to occupy your time quite well. If you were an only child, you know, Scorpios, again, I feel like are very independent, but generally have a pretty tight-knit family. So not usually a large family, depending on, you know, your parents and stuff. Um, you you just really are not going to need a lot of attention all the time. You know, you're really going to enjoy your downtime, your R&R. You could still be quite ambitious though with an Aries moon and a Taurus rising. But you're going to think, like I'm saying, you're going to think through it. So you're going to go, you might take more time thinking, what do I want in 5 years? And a good thing, like I give my clients this exercise, law of attraction, is just to ask yourself it open-ended. You know, what do I want in 5 years? And over the next week, you might start getting ideas. Oh, I never thought of that. I could do that, you know, and you'll really take your time mulling over it. And, and you won't be in such a rush or as impatient as the Aries rising, okay? Now, you're still not somebody that somebody should mess with. You know, you will be fiercely protective, but you're going to be a lot slower to react. You're not quite as impulsive as the Aries rising. You know, and so Aries risings, I hope you watch it because just the contrast of the two helps me kind of explain it more thoroughly. But I'll quit saying keep watching through because you guys got that already. So, you know, I also like to do if you love one. So if you love an Aries rising, Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, you are, you know, you really like, if they have a vision, you need to back it up. But if they have one, or if they have a vision, you need to back it up. But if you have one, they'll be one of your most loyal supporters. They will be, you know, your go-getters. But with it, and also they're going to be very active. You know, they're going to need pretty frequent, regular. That's connotated with Aries. Scorpio is sort of, I've noticed just with Scorpios in general, because it's like regeneration and it rules the reproductive organs, which is the libido also. Mars is like the phallic libido. Aries rising is going to be very much about, I think they're going to be very frequent and active. Now, Taurus rising is going to be a little slower and more sensual and receptive, male or female. It's going to be about really enjoying the moment, but it still could be quite frequent with an Aries moon placement. But I feel like with the Taurus rising, it could be like you're quite active with your partner for a while, or with partners if you're kind of single, and then you could kind of go kind of into your solace for quite some time as well. So if you're with somebody with this combination, you love them, you may find that, you know, you guys are quite active for a while, and then they're kind of more in their own inner world, especially with the more introverted rising and sun. And then, you know, and then they pull you close to them again, and you know, it kind of starts up again. So it's kind of like this nice flow of energy, that Scorpio water energy, where they kind of pull you in and love on you and then reel you back out. And then, you know, and if you can get in a good rhythm, where with the Aries rising is kind of be like, come on, dun, 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 dun. Okay, that makes sense. Now let's kind of segue into Gemini rising. Gemini rising is going to be one of the more communicative Scorpio Sun Aries Moon combinations, but I still feel like with a Scorpio Sun that it's going to still be very deep conversations. So this might be the person, and again, if you're this person, you might be the person that if you're a Gemini rising, Scorpio Sun Aries Moon, where you get into very deep conversations with people. Like you're the one at the bar that people tell, especially with the Scorpio Sun, their deepest, darkest secrets to, and they say, oh, I can't believe I'm telling you all of this. I've never told anyone this before. You know, you might make a really good therapist too, because you'll have sort of the energy to keep up with the chatter. You could also, you know, any Gemini rising is going to be a great like radio host. But you might deal with, you know, Scorpio also has to do with the psyche. So psychology, you know, you could deal with like the clients all day and listening to them. Scorpio can listen. The Aries moon is going to be able to stay sort of emotionally detached in a way, but come up with good solutions. And then with the Gemini rising, you're going to be very interested in people. So again, I was thinking also with, like a psychology radio host, like Frasier, or you know, there's numerous ones. That's sort of a fictional character, but you know, one of those psychology radio hosts, you know, or just a psychologist in general, or some kind of therapist or counselor. You know, I always say like Pisces placements are really good for you know, therapists, you know, they don't get too Neptunian or can go more into the imagination and be a good novelist. But a Gemini rising, like you're going to be very, especially with a Scorpio sun, practical. um I connotate Gemini often, you guys might have heard this before, with being very discerning, and then Scorpio is very perceptive. So you're going to be able to get to the root of the issue very quickly, like what is this person's issue, and then talk through it with them. So even if you're not in that career field, you're going to find that you're kind of that go-to person. If somebody needs to vent, you know, that's going to be you. You're going to have the solutions for them. And even in the family too. Now, though, because people might kind of put that weight on you, you in the home may need to burn off some of that Mars energy, and you might just kind of like, you might like to like really, I'm just getting this, with Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, Gemini rising, you might kind of have to burn off some of that excess mental energy, because Gemini's Mercury rules the head and or rules the mind, and then Scorpio's the psyche, and Aries is the head. So you and the physical body. So you might have to burn off some of this excess energy of all the chatter to kind of balance out the Scorpio like water energy, because Gemini and Aries are masculine, with physical exercise. So you might be very physically active, or you might just find that that's the best way. And if you don't do that, that might be a good coping mechanism for you. Or if you love one, you know, being physical or getting them out to do physical activities. I do find that Scorpios generally are, uh, it's kind of hit or miss. Some Scorpios, and I don't know all of their sun, moon risings off the top of my head, because a lot of Scorpios that I really connect with are a lot older than me. But they generally are very reclusive and like very much homebodies, or they're very much active, physically active with that Mars rulership. So with an Aries moon, though, you don't need a jogging partner, you know, you're just going to go do it. So with that Gemini rising, you know, now Gemini rules the hands. So you do, with an Aries moon, especially younger too, do need to be a little bit of careful of aggression. You know, you might like to box or something. So if you, I just get this feeling, because one of you had commented on my videos like, oh, my dad or my brother are Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon. I can't wait to see that video. So like for those of you, this could generally be like an Aries rising or Gemini rising with a Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, might be tend to be on the more aggressive side of these combinations, especially when younger and less mature. So, and again, with the Scorpio Sun's fearless of death, or again, everything's kind of a spectrum. I was trying to go there earlier with like Leos. So one of the tells with Leos will be, this is just the best example. I have tells with all of the signs, but it'll be like they'll either have the most pristine white shoes you've ever seen or the dirtiest shoes you've ever seen. That's going to be a Leo. So it's the same thing here. It's like, I just kind of lost the train of thought of where I was going with the spectrum, but Scorpio Sun, just in general, is going to be either extremely afraid of death, you know, so fearful of it that they may have a near-death experience, which, you know, sort of gives them that phoenix rising from the ashes thing, and gives them a whole new life cycle, kind of like what I said the collective goes through every year when we hit Scorpio season. It's like we're shedding the things that no longer serve us. We might be a little emotional because it is a water season, and we're really reflecting to get through the rest of the year before we kind of start a new in Aries season. Okay, so some of you, and this is why you should watch all the way through, because if you saw that earlier, right, and I said that, but no, some of you are going to have a real fear of death. But I just feel like with a Gemini rising and an Aries moon, you're probably going to jump into things fists first or head first. Like you're going to want to get your hands on things, because Aries loves novelty too, like new things. And Gemini can be very good at picking up trends. So this kind of along with Libra could be like a good fashion placement too. Like you want to get your hands on things, you know, it's also earth signs material, but you want to get your hands in and knead the dough and work and play with the clay and make things, you know, and it's all with your hands usually with Gemini in the chart. So, and especially like my Mars is in Gemini. I did a video on it if any of you have that. But, you know, so with strong Mars rulership with Scorpio and Aries, and then that Gemini rising, you might really like to work with your hands. Okay. And yeah, if you love one, you know, observe, because they are very busy with their hands, and that might be like a good thing, you know. But you know, or keeping their hands busy if they do get a little bit of anxiety, because that can kind of happen with Mercury placements, like Virgo and Gemini. I feel like a tad. Now I see anxiety in all the different signs, but I'm just saying that can be sort of a way for Gemini type of anxiety if they're not moving their mouth to do something with their hands. So anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into, now I'm like, okay, is it Cancer or Leo next? Cancer Sun, Aries rising. Okay, I'm going to cut this off and take a break for a second. Okay, so hopping back into Cancer rising, Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, you are, double water and fire. So this is a quite steamy placement. But again, we were kind of talking about Cancer energy earlier. Cancer is like the crabs at the bottom of the ocean. There's all these elements, like the world around them. And so they huddle together. So as a Cancer rising, you more so than the other combinations here in this video are going to really gravitate towards like childhood friends. You may be very tight knit with your mother or, your nuclear family that you grew up in. Even when you create your own family, you are very apt to live very close to your parents. Now, sometimes, especially for males with strong Cancer placements, it can be a little bit of a challenging relationship with the mother. But again, your mother will be a very prominent figure in your life. So you are most likely, like when you have your own spouse and children, going to be very tight knit with your parents. Now, if for some reason that's not the case for you, with an Aries moon, you are going to have strong independence. So if you did, come from an unhealthy family, you may have a little bit easier time breaking away from that, but it's going to create quite a void in you because of, just that sort of what you would naturally have. So if you don't have it, of course, you're going to feel the absence of it, and you may feel some resentment because of it. Now, another thing though, with like, I have a Cancer midheaven, so this can be a thing with Cancer risings. And I may have touched on this in some of the other videos with Cancer risings, is you may be very good at creating your own family. So if for some reason you don't have, inherently that tight-knit, nuclear maternal family, you may be able to go out into the world and create families. And even so, if you do have that, when you're in the workplace and such, or in groups, you will be sort of the maternal figure. Even if you are a male, you will be somebody that people can come to for nurturing. You will care a lot about people in the group settings that you're in. So you may have, your family at home, but at work, you're also, sort of somebody that, has this group tight. And with Scorpio Sun, yeah, it's going to be tight knit group. And then, you might be in different classes or things where you, really create strong friendships and bonds. And normally it's going to be, Libra rules those one-on-one relationships, but Cancer is the family. So normally it's going to be, your group is going to be at least 3 or more, I would say even Gemini is more of like a 3 kind of energy. Well, they're the twins, but, so it's definitely going to be usually like a group of 4 or 5 or more that you're involved in. So in work too, you might like to work in group settings, or like, I'm just getting this because, we often connotate like Cancer and Cancer. Actually, I would say Cancer and Virgo is what I was going to say, but also Scorpio and Pisces can be, all the water signs, and Virgo tend to make really good nurses. They're very attentive. Virgo's very detail oriented, but, so you might be, especially as females, and I may have said this again with some of the other Cancer risings, you might do really well in a career field of nursing or caregiving. If you're not a mother or stay-at-home mom, you're good at that as well. And with a Scorpio Sun, you most likely will kind of have that set up for you. So like, let's say even you become a single parent, your parents are going to be very instrumental in helping you. Not like helping you like you need their help, but it's just going to come very naturally and easily that they're there, and so for better or worse, like even if there's conflict in the family, Aries moons aren't afraid of conflict, neither are Scorpio suns. So even if it's not always the healthiest and there's a lot of conflict, you're used to it. You can deal with it. It's not something that, as you get older, it may be something that you try to learn boundaries and things like that. But you definitely are going to thrive in group settings. Okay. And if you love one of these people, you either have to learn to, if you're not a group setting kind of person, you either have to learn to like just sort of accept that about this person, or become part of the group as well. I do feel like if you're a Cancer rising, Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, you're going to want a partner that's also involved in the groups. You know, you might have like this thing that you do or your career that you do that's aside from the family, but you need a partner that's going to be, you know, accepting of that. That's not going to be like, oh, well, you know, why are you so involved with your work family all the time and not home? Like, they need to understand that, you know, you care a lot about that. Or if you're a stay-at-home mom, but you have a mom's group, they can't be adversary to that. You know, they have to know that that's your thing. But also just having someone that really, you know, loves family, because that's what Cancer rules, is going to be really wonderful for you. And let's see, as far as like the physical nature, because I know I talked about that, you know, you're not, with an Aries moon, you're still going to be a bit primal and impulsive, you know, also Scorpio sun, you know, that Mars rulership again, I go back to, but you know, it's all cohesive. Like it's kind of going back to that flow energy we're kind of talking about with Taurus rising. You know, if you guys are just busy with family and groups, it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, you know, we're not sleeping together enough. It's just gonna sort of like ebb and flow like the ocean tides, you know. And with an Aries moon again though, it's going to be prominent, because so having a partner that's like, okay, you know, this weekend we're taking the kids to do something fun, so it's not about, you know, us. But then, you know, you get your alone time. This would be, I feel like for a lot of you, it's imperative that if you are, you know, married and trying to have the traditional family, which a lot of you will be, that you are really going to want to have a date night, because you might give too much of yourselves to the family, you and your partner. And if your partner doesn't, you're going to compensate for that, and so be careful of that too. You know, make sure it's balanced, that you know, you're at least getting support from your partner. Now, if you're male or single, if you're single, whether male or female, you know, you might really, your priority might be to create a family. Again, whether that's having children or just, you know, creating a family workplace, a family home maybe that you run. But if you're a male, you know, because everything's these extremes of the spectrum, and so we're dealing with that theme more here. If you didn't have nurturing from your mother, male or female, but mostly male, you might be resentful of family. You might be like, I don't want to have a family. And as an Aries moon, you might just be very much like, I'm going to do my own thing. But again, you're going to feel a void if you don't have that in your life. So if it's something you've sort of neglected, you know, that might be something to look at. Like, okay, so I don't have a traditional type of family. Do I want to create one? Or how can I create some type of, you know, group or family environment for myself? Because some of you might be a literal aversion, and that might be like your shadow work. Okay. So again, if that's like your relative, you know, maybe you could kind of steer them like, oh, did you ever think about getting involved in something, you know? You know, if they're a little cantankerous or isolated, you know, because Scorpios, you know, again, I said this can happen with Virgo, Scorpio Sun, you might isolate yourself and deprive yourself of those like intimate connections at times, you know, or you might get so involved in the group that you have to isolate just to recharge too. You know, you might have to be sort of like independent, like Aries, like you might need to go shopping, like you might do the grocery shopping like by yourself. That might be your like me time, you know, and you might need that to balance out, you know, the Aries independence and go-getterness, like, you know, everybody get out of my way, I got to get stuff done, with the time that quality time that you love to spend with them, you know, because you might not always be mindful of that. So again, if you're like related to someone and it's like they just are always giving to the family, or they're just like hyper independent, you know, go, okay, you need some me time, or okay, you need some intimate time with people that you care about, you know, you need an intervention here, you know. Okay, so now we're going into Leo rising, Scorpio sun, Aries moon. Now, I generally don't feel like Leo rising is a challenging placement, but I feel like this one could be a tad more challenging, because Leo again is a fixed sign, but Leo is such a different energy than Scorpio. It's a square, you know, Leo to Scorpio is square. Now you will find a lot of times, I noticed this early on, you know, squares we gravitate towards too, but it's very challenging. So I've seen, and again, I noticed this a long time ago before I even realized that's a square, that Leo and Scorpios, if they get together, now depending, you know, maybe their moon signs are compatible, if you've watched any of my other videos, so they stay together, even though they generally wouldn't, you know, be together. Leo and Scorpio can be very tight knit as well, like Aries and Scorpio, like a surprising combination. I'll find Leos and Scorpios that are together for years and years and very attached. So, you know, Scorpio can be kind of, you know, they say possessive, and I'm trying not to like put those stereotypes on you guys, right? Because I'm sure you've heard them. So Leo kind of brings that out in you guys, because Leo just, it's ruled by the sun. It needs constant attention. It's this bright light. So Scorpio kind of wants to, you know, Scorpio Sun wants to kind of keep Leo close to them, you know, like, you know, I can feel that a little with Leo. I really like Leos, but I have like 2% power. It's one of my harmonious parts. If you ever want to do your cosmodines, check out divinetimingdatabase.com. You can see where all your power and your harmony is in your chart. But so you as a Leo rising, you're going to really stand out and get a lot of attention. And some of you may really thrive in this, because as a Scorpio, you can kind of sit there in your fixed placement, and then the Leo placement is fixed. So you can literally stand like the sun fixed in the sky, and everything will gravitate towards you. Everything you need will be drawn to you. It's almost like kind of like, you know, Leo can be a regal placement. And so Scorpio is definitely, a Scorpio sun is not going to take that for granted. Like, you're going to enterprise off of it, especially with an Aries moon. Aries are very enterprising. You know, they're the emperor again. They want to build empires. So if you can balance these energies, you know, having a fire moon and a fire rising sign, you know, those are trine, Aries and Leo, you can definitely like build an empire just sitting there, kind of like an emperor delegating, you know, instead of so much that Aries energy of going and getting. Now, when you're young, your weakness and your trap is going to be being emotional. You're going to want to go out and do things yourself, and you're going to learn very quickly. It's much easier for you to stay centered, draw things to you. You're going to draw lots of attention, and then delegate tasks and not try to do everything yourself. Especially if you like run a household, because in the household you're probably going to be trying to do everything yourself as an Aries moon and a Scorpio sun. And then there was one other thing I was kind of thinking of here, but maybe I'll come back to it. You know, if you love one of these people, you have to, oh, that's the thing. So another little trap here is sort of, again, that you're going to draw a lot of attention, and it's going to drain you as a Scorpio sun sometimes, and you're going to need to withdraw and kind of do your own thing in the Aries moon. People might always want to get involved in what you're doing, and to emotionally rebalance yourself, you're going to have to find your own little projects to do, even if it's just like a puzzle or, you know, something that you can do on your own, because you're going to have constant attention on you, and you might really thrive in it and dwell in it as a Leo rising. But there's going to be times where you're just tired of people and you want to do your own thing. So if you are, you know, live with one of these people, you're in love with them, or you're family to them, you know, when they kind of back off and they're like, no, I'm doing this, you know, it's my thing, just let them have it. You know what I mean? Because most of the time they're very much involved in everything else. And they're probably going to be the center of attention a lot of the time too. So for some of you people, you know, cross watchers, it might be annoying, but they're not really doing it like intentionally. That's just kind of the natural thing of being a Leo rising. Now, if you do get into like the creative arts, performing arts, sports, you're going to have a lot of endurance and stamina with Scorpio sun, Aries moon, because Aries rules the physical body. Scorpio is, you know, Mars ruled as well. I keep saying that. It's going to be like the most repetitive part of this, but so, and Scorpio has lots of stamina and endurance. So, Leo rules the 5th house of the performing arts, sports, and children. So you're either reproductive, Scorpio, Aries, very frequent fornicator. You are going to have a lot of children, you know, and a very, you know, not just tight knit, but like, I can see this kind of placement having like 5 children around them and 20 grandchildren, and being the center of it all and just navigating it very well. And all the grandkids are coming to you all the time, you know, and so if you're young, that's something to think about. Or it can be like you're part of a, you know, like a performing arts group or a sports team. You're definitely going to be a center figure. Even if, like, say you're not in the forefront and the best of the best, you're going to be, you know, somebody that if you weren't there, everyone's going to be, there's going to be something missing. They're going to feel the void here, okay? And yeah, like, and so if you love one of these people, know that they're going to get a lot of attention, but know that sometimes they need alone time. Okay, so it's like, say they get a lot of attention, they're dealing with the family or the groups or all that, and then they get home and they want nothing to do with you. It's they might need to take a warm bath, you know, and just water, right, Scorpio, because of all this fire energy, you know, they got to get steamy, and you might just need give them an hour alone, you know, and then they might be right back to, okay, now it's us time, you know. Yeah, I think that's pretty much covers that one. So now we're getting into Virgo rising, Scorpio sun, Aries moon. You are going to be, of course, the more analytical of the tribe of Scorpio sun, Aries moons. And you, as I was kind of talking about, the Scorpio is very good at investigating, researching, gathering all of the history, like the facts of the history. And Virgo's good at like putting it all together and like putting it in graphs and bars, okay, and presenting it and looking it over. Okay, what does this mean? You know, well, Scorpio knew what it meant. Your Scorpio sun, but your Virgo rising is going to go, okay, but how does this connect to that? And like, you know, connect the dots, I feel like. So definitely between the two, you are going to love collecting data with the Virgo rising, but love collecting like the actual colorful, detailed history as the Scorpio. Okay, so a lot of you will be great researchers, even if it's not what you do for career. It's something that you might like to do in your free time, you know, or as a hobby. You know, I can see, I just got crossword puzzles, you know. I feel like Scorpio would know like all the answers and be able to do a crossword puzzle in no time in this placement. And then with the Aries moon, this is, again, Virgo is the hermit and Scorpio can be quite reclusive at times. So this is going to be kind of like I said with Taurus rising, definitely the more introverted combos here. And so you maybe, where I said some of you will lean more towards those long-term relationships, like unless you meet someone, you know, who has that masculine moon, which would be air, fire, and, you know, a very feminine like sun, you know, like Taurus, which is going to go trine to your Virgo rising, and they give you like a lot of alone time to be in your mind, you're probably going to be one that's more likely, kind of, and probably Scorpio rising here as well, to be able to live alone for long periods of time. I mean, also maybe Pisces rising as well, but you will be able to just really, even if you have a partner and a family, you know, because that just comes inherently to you as a Scorpio sun, possibly, you will love, like, you will have some sort of hideout, you know. I could see this being like one of you that just like, it's like, oh, where's mom or dad? Oh, they're, you know, they're in their office. Like you're going to be hiding out, or in the library reading, you know. Yeah, so I definitely feel like you'll be, and as a Scorpio sun, you might be like the one, like hide and seek. I had a Scorpio friend. I don't know what his moon, like I said, I don't know a lot of my Scorpio's moons. But I think he has a Taurus moon actually, but he would always be like, where is he? Like he's always like, where's Waldo? Like he's always hiding, and we're always like trying to find him. So I feel like you'd be sort of that placement here. And if you love one of these people, yeah, definitely know that, I mean, you don't even know, it's okay. So I can see this too happening here. If you got with a more gregarious, outgoing partner, it might frustrate them that, you know, you don't call them back for a week, or that you're always hiding. So you're going to do a lot better with a partner that like can occupy themselves, you know, that, and probably with a little bit of the possessiveness as Aries and Scorpio, because it will distract you if they're always like out and about and social. Now, some of you may be able to still, depending on the relationship, you can stay and like focus on your things that are important to you, and your person can be out and about and come home and then you connect. But for a lot of you, that's going to distract you. So you'll need someone that can kind of occupy themselves quietly as well. You know, any kind of Taurus placement will be good in a partner for you, because they like their downtime. So they'll just be over there kind of chilling. Or even Capricorn too, it can be that way, kind of occupy themselves really well in the house. And then you can, you know, do your things. So this would be like a good study partner. If you like, if say you do go, you know, gravitate towards like a really high education, you may end up meeting your person in school because you know they were your best study partner, I guess is what I'm trying to say there. And then, you know, they want to get it on too. So it's like study, be serious and methodical, but then also have that warm Aries, fiery hearth time at home. You know, again, like I always say, for any moon placement, you, especially, well, for Aries, for you guys, it's going to be, you're going to want to be with an fire or air moon. So especially for you, you're going to need that balance, and you might find it in partners with like fire and air suns. You really need that in the moon here, because it's going to be such a contrast between who you are like in the world, your rising Virgo, and you know who you are day in and day out Scorpio, versus like your needs, your emotional needs. They're just going to be a lot different from how you present and how you operate. Okay, because how you present and operate is probably going to be quite serious and quite mysterious, and people will understand you. I mean, you'll be clear, but it might just be hard for them to connect with that fiery Aries. You know, Aries is the most masculine sign, so it's not always, I mean, Aries do communicate a lot, but it's like chatter, like Gemini. So it's not, they may not be, an Aries moon may not be able to like articulate like, or even know quite their needs. Like that's more of a feminine thing, right? And so Aries most masculine and moon's very feminine placement. So it's like you just need someone who's going to inherently understand them, you know, especially it's going to be quite physical needs with an Aries moon. So you just need someone that meets your physical needs, but like operates in that kind of more serious. Now, it doesn't mean like if you're a Virgo rising and Scorpio sun and you get with a Capricorn, it doesn't, I mean, Capricorns can be hilarious. It doesn't mean you guys aren't going to have senses of humor and joke because I'm saying you're more serious. That might be the person that makes you laugh the most, you know. So I'm not saying like it's always serious. I'm just saying you are going to feel more comfortable with more serious, grounded, earthy types, and you may not be able to communicate those emotional needs as well. So it's going to be definitely important that you find someone that just kind of meets those needs. Because you might try to like analyze who your partner should be, or like, okay, I need this kind of partner, and you might not quite be able to, because the moon is very subconscious, you might not even be able to like bring it to your own forefront of what you need. So if you can just find it and click with it, you know, it's going to make life a lot easier for you. Some of you may have found that. All right. Yeah, but I mean, Aries is also a problem solver, and Scorpio knows the truth, and Virgo mind. You are going to be very good at problem solving, which is very good for business. So if you do build a business or an empire, you know, you will probably be very successful, but it will probably be kind of, you know, Virgo rules the 6th house of work. So it'll probably take some time. And then with Scorpio sun, I feel like you might need some investors for some support to make it happen. You know, or you could just be a very diligent worker. Like you get into like a scientific field, and you just, and you work your way up and make a really good living just doing the methodical work day in and day out. But then it's like when you get home with that Aries moon, you're just going to want to like, I want to say like, you know, just like be free and wild, let's say. I was going to say so, you know, all right. So, let's see here. Now we're going into Libra sun, or Libra rising, Scorpio sun, Aries moon. Now this again, kind of like Gemini rising, right? Like all the air signs, but primarily Gemini more, but Libra is the partnership sign. It's very communicative. So again, you're going to be one of the placements that most likely with a Scorpio sun, I feel like locks down a partner fairly early in life, or has very long-term relationships. You operate in the world as partnership. So again, if you don't find a partnership right away, I'm a Libra rising too, by the way, so I know this, you know, I have a Venus ruled chart, Libra rising, so do you. You are, if you don't have that long-term relationship, that one-on-one partnership, that's going to be the void for you. That's going to be what you're looking for. Now, whether you have it or not, you will also be good. I know, I can't remember which placement now that I mentioned it, with like, relationship coaching, possibly one-on-one counseling. If you don't do that as an occupation, you're going to be the one that your friends come to for relationship advice. You're very diplomatic. This is also the Justice card in tarot, so you might be very interested in politics. So I noticed too for like the masculine Libra type energies, if they're not just very much like on the shadow side, like codependent, especially for Libra Sun, because the Sun is debilitated in Libra, but we're talking about the rising here. You might really fill that void with being very interested in politics and things like that. And if it's not like politics of your country, it could be like social politics in groups. You're very good at working a room. You will also draw a lot of attention, which could be a little bit draining for your Scorpio Sun. Could get in the way sometimes of you balancing your Aries emotions, okay? Because you just want to go kind of do stuff and get it done. And then, you know, you might always have people tagging along. And that's fine if they're like ready to go when you're ready to go. But if you're like going to pick them up and then they're like, oh, let's do it tomorrow, you know, that can be frustrating for any kind of Aries placement, because you're just probably going to go without them. Which, you know, if they have decent placements, they're going to understand about you and not take offense to. But like if you're dealing with because you're a Scorpio and you're dealing with someone with like a triple Cancer, and they're just, or like say Taurus, because Taurus can be a little like slow in coming, you know, like Knight of Pentacles, very slow and methodical. If say they're like strong Taurus and Cancer placements because they gravitate to your Scorpio Sun. And then you've got this Libra rising, so you like partner with them, but then your Aries moon's going to get really impatient. Like, okay, I'm going without you, and their feelings are going to get hurt. So that's something to know if you're dating this person. Like, don't take it personal if they just want to go get stuff done and, you know, then they come back. They're still your partner, okay? And they're going to want to include you, Libra rising. If this is your partner, they want to include you. So if they end up, you know, going off with another, because this happens too. I was thinking about this the other day with Libra placements, because they are a one-on-one partnership sign. It's like if their favorite partner can't come, because that could be like that shadow side of like, I want to say codependency just for time's sake. I'm not calling you guys that by any means. They will go find another friend to fill in the void, because they just need like someone to join them. And it doesn't mean that they value that person more than you or that they care about them more than you. It's just that they don't really, strong Libra placements don't like to be alone. But in the rising, not so much, because Libra rising is very gregarious. So they'll just kind of make a friend wherever they go, especially with Aries in the chart, like Aries moon. So it's like if you guys go every week to yoga class and then they can't go you can't go that week, you know, or if you're romantic partners, it could be some other thing that you do together. And then they come back and they're like, I made a new best friend, you know, just know that was probably pretty fleeting, you know, and they're not replacing you. Okay. They just started chatting with someone new because, you know, Libra rising's, like they say, one of the most gregarious. Now with a Scorpio Sun, they're going to definitely instantly see whether, you know, oh, this is something else I would really note about a Libra rising Scorpio Sun. And in this too could be if you're out with them at like dinner, they might be really nice to the waiter, almost like flirty with the waiter where it makes you uncomfortable. And yet they automatically, as a Scorpio Sun, have already decided like whether they even like this person or not. But as a Libra rising, they're not going to show it. And I'm not saying like Libra rising is superficial at all, like, but I do feel like, and I am a Libra rising, so I'm not like insulting you guys here. You know, Libra and Libra rising tend to, you know, like I kind of have my makeup on today, right? Like it's like a mask. It's a very polite and friendly, but it is the opposite sign of Aries. So there can be sort of that side where they try to be diplomatic, especially when dealing with like other people's problems. Like if it's your two friends' problems or their therapist, they can detach and be diplomatic. But when it comes to their own thing with Libra, there's that Aries side of the coin, especially here with the Aries moon, where they're just gonna kind of, okay, I was being polite and you're not being polite back. So now I'm going to revert to the Aries side of the coin, which is no BS, you know, and there is that side to Libra. So with a Scorpio Sun, it's like they may be very nice to people and it may be almost annoying sometimes if you're their partner, especially if you are like a water or an earth sign, because, right, that's going to grab towards Scorpio Sun. But the Scorpio Sun has already decided if they like this person or not. So when you get home, then they're going to tell you the truth of the matter. Like, okay, that waitress seemed really nice, but she actually like wasn't very bright or something, you know, like I'm just saying. So, you know, don't always take the way that they act out in public as what they're really thinking, because that Scorpio Sun, you know, so it's like if you do feel a threat of like, oh, they made a new best friend, and they're flirting with this person, like when they've actually already read as a Scorpio Sun through that person, And they may be being a lot friendlier than how they actually feel about that person, if that makes sense. So I'm not saying they're fake. It's just they're going to be polite, almost to like kill them with kindness. That's kind of a Libra thing. My cousin is September 22nd. His son's on my ascendant, and I've had a lot of people in my life with that. Their son will gravitate to my ascendant, and I've only dated one of them though. Like most of them are like platonic or familial, but and he's September 23rd, the one I dated, and just side note, his son is smack dab on my ascendant, 0 degrees Libra, but my cousin was always like to kill him with kindness, and he would like babysit when I was a kid, and he'll be like really nice, but he's being a jerk, like, and my uncle was a Libra, so, I'm a Libra rising, so it's like, I'm not fake, it's just that, like, I'm really nice sometimes, and then people, like, they kind of like think they can be, get one over on me, like I'm going to be a pushover. And then when I'm not, because I'm an Aries sun, it kind of shocks them. So I do feel like that's kind of something that could happen here with a Scorpio sun. Like you're going to be a Libra rising, like you're going to be very polite, even to your enemies, especially Scorpio suns. You've already decided friend or foe. There's no real in between with a Scorpio sun. Like you're either one of my people that I keep close and I protect, or you're not my people. You have very strong boundaries, which I respect. So with Libra rising, people aren't always going to know which one's which. I feel like with you guys, like they're not going to know, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Like, this is someone you really don't want to make mad, because they will reel you in by being very nice to you. and then they'll get you in the goat. No. Yes. And so if you're related to this person, that might be sort of a dynamic throughout, your interactions in life. Like, sometimes they're really nice to me, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they got me, and you may not, with Scorpio sun, I feel like, no offense, you may not explain to them like, oh, you made me really mad 3 years ago. And it's with the Libra rising, I was just waiting for the right time to get you back for that one, and got you back, and I still love you, but anyways, it's kind of like a strategic thing with the Aries moon. So I feel like in the family, this is the person that, like, it's going to be a spectrum thing again. It's like the person that's either going to be very blunt and direct with the Libra and Aries, that's like a little more outspoken than a normal Scorpio sun that just lets you know and puts you in your place, or it's going to be the one that's always got a smile on their face, but you don't know if they're happy or they're mad at you. Okay. All right. So, now let's go into Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, Aries moon, and then I might take a quick break again because I got to check. Actually, let me do that now because I got to make sure I don't have a client. Okay. So now if you're double Scorpio, Aries moon, you are double Pluto ruled and triple Mars ruled, okay? So you are kind of like we were just talking about Libra rising, right? Because I like the neighboring signs, they do have sort of like overlapping contrast, because it goes masculine, feminine, which goes extroverted, introverted, extroverted. So Libra rising, again, like I said, they're going to be the very gregarious, maybe outspoken, or just maybe not, like hiding it with a smile type thing. Scorpio rising, you are going to be kind of like Libra rising in that way, where you could be very direct and let people know your boundaries, and just, this is how it is, and this is my family, and this is who I protect, and I don't like you. And you can just be very clear and no BS, cutthroat, okay? Or you could be the opposite, because it is feminine and introverted. So you could be just very much like, I don't tell anyone anything. They don't need to know anything. And I just operate, and I'm a mystery, and they don't. So it's kind of like the opposite of Libra rising, where they have a smile and they hate you. It could be like, you can't read you. They can't read you. You're a mystery. And so they don't know whether you like them or hate them, because so there could be people that you really, really like, that they think you hate them. Like I've heard that with like teachers and stuff, or like somebody's, like a friend's parent, you're like, oh, I feel like that teacher always hated me. And then you ask them like, why did you think that? And they're like, I don't know. Like, just seemed like they did. I'm like, well, did they say anything? Did they do anything? No, it's just, I don't think they like me. I feel like you might be one of those people. And I'm not going to say like so far as like, RIB, like resting BITCH phase, like not necessarily. Maybe some of you could be that way. I feel like even Aries rising could maybe be like that. Because I watched this tarot reader who's I think she's like a Venus in Aries or something. And she says that's her. So maybe Aries rising too could be like that here. But some of you, maybe a small percent of you are going to be that way. But you're going to be one that's like people might annoy you because they can't figure you out. And so you're a double feminine sign with a masculine moon. So especially I feel like this, and I've said this with dating can be a thing. People might kind of not be able to read you at all, or they'll see that Aries moon shining, like, you know, and that Scorpio sun shining up from the cracks if you watched the video through. And so they're trying to get to like the luminaries, right? The sun and the moon. They see you shining over there, but you have like this exterior where they can't really read you. You're really mysterious, but you're really sultry. You know, it's a very Scorpio rising, and with all the sun moon combos can be very attractive with this mysterious aura. So you're trying to figure out, and it's like annoying because you'll attract these masculine energies, and Scorpio is very feminine. So you know, it is receptive, but it's like you're like, okay, back off, like I'm over here, like, you know, like go away, you know, unless it's their moon. So then they'll kind of just meet you behind the veil, right? Not the veil per se, like we're talking spiritual realm. Although some of you could definitely be occultists with these strong Scorpio placements. But they're going to meet you like behind the curtain with their masculine moon. But, you know, it's going to be hard for people to get to know you unless you want to let them in, you know. I feel like, and I've said this with other Scorpio risings, I think in this series with the Aries moon, that you are going to pick and choose who you let near you. And as a fixed sign, some people might actually be envious that aren't in your tight knit circle, because they're going to wonder like, why don't they like me? And why, you know, why are they all three friends? Like say it's you and your two best friends. Like there might be a lot of people around that may even get jealous of you. So that's something to watch out when you're younger again too, with this strong Mars Pluto energy. Like people may just hate you because they don't understand, especially more outgoing personalities, why you're not their friend, because you have these two friends and like why you didn't like them kind of thing. And it might not be that you don't like them. It might just be that, you know, because you are going to be this way, most of you, you keep, you know, you've got your people and you've vetted them and you have your boundaries, and you don't need more people around you because you are more like reclusive type of sign, and you recharge kind of like a Scorpio, like in the dark. But in the house, you're going to be a lot more, because the moon, right? Or in the family, that's the moon as well. You're going to be a lot more energetic, and like, again, I feel a lot of physical stamina here. So it's like, you'll be the one out jogging and people will see you and be like, oh, hey, there's that one again. Like, you know, but you're going to have your same jogging buddies every time. And if they can't go, you're probably not going to be like a Libra rising where you just find another partner for the day. Like you're just going to go by yourself. So, I do feel like for you guys though, most of you are, it's again the spectrum. Like you're either going to be alone most of your life, like not in a relationship and be fine with it. Not so much like the void if you don't have it, or you're going to meet someone very early on and have a long-term relationship. Some of you may end up with like one divorce or something, you know, Pluto can rule the tower. But I feel like you'll get into another one that's probably even better. I don't know. That's more of an intuitive thing I just picked up for a lot of you. And so I know on a lot of the previous videos, people are like, oh, that is me. Again, you'd be very good in scientific stuff. A lot of you are going to deal in the occult. Not all of you, you know, some of you, I mean, if you're watching an astrology video, obviously you have some interest in it, but, and if you don't deal in the occult, like you might be really interested in the great mysteries of the world. You might really like to learn the inner workings of things here. Not so much necessarily the mechanics. I do feel like that would be a bit of like a Gemini or a Virgo thing a little bit more, but some of you might. But you will like to learn like about the behind the scenes, how things work. And you might be really good at like, and it doesn't again have to be like a mechanical thing. It could be just like anything. Especially I'm getting to, this is Pisces also, but like with light. So photography and things, that's a little bit 12th house Pisces, but you just really want to kind of know. It's almost like an artsy energy I'm getting to, which is a bit of Leo and Libra as well, but rising, right? You really want to figure things out. So if you do own your own business as an Aries Moon Emperor, you know, and a lot of you, again, like I've said with other Aries, Moon, Scorpio rising placements and different sun signs, you may take over the family business here because, right, Scorpio deals with other people's resources. Aries is the emperor, so you might have a lot of favor from your father. Maybe, maybe not. Some of you might have absent fathers. Now you say, well, you're saying all the things, right? But it's going to be one extreme or the other. Like, you're either going to be very tight-knit with your father or he's going to be absent. But I still feel like for most of you, he'll have a very strong influence on you here. Whether he left you like knowledge or the intelligence or the actual like business and resources. Let's see what else. I don't know why I'm picking this up for you guys. I usually pick it up more for Cancer and Pisces as well, but you might, I mean, being close to water is going to be very soothing for you. Like a campfire next to the water with that Aries moon. If you have a relative or love someone like this, especially young, and again, this is more Pisces, but I'm picking it up for you guys. You have to be careful of self-destruction and recklessness and possibly drug addiction here. You're either going to be very strong and resilient against it, or you're going to be very susceptible to it. This is going to be the reason I feel like I'm doing more of these opposite extremes with this, I want to say combination, is because Mars and Pluto, again, are the most powerful planets, and you are dealing with Pluto twice and Mars triple time, okay? So this is a person of extremes. Whatever you do it die hard, okay? Whether that's for better or worse. Because remember, Mars is an impartial warrior. Whatever side that he is born on or finds himself on, he will fight to the death on, okay? So Scorpio, though, Pluto, the Pluto part, has the discernment, has the perception, but it's still going back to strategy, the perception. Like, are you on my side or not? You know, this is one of fierce loyalty. This is not someone that you want to betray. And if you disagree with this person, like especially like say intimate relationships or family, you may not be able to agree to disagree. They may not quite make their feelings known. So if you are quite outgoing personality, you probably want to talk less around this person. You know, if you're very close to them, you may be able to really share. This is another one where you might find people really come and share their secrets with you, dealing with the 8th house. But I don't feel you're going to be out and about enough because you're double Scorpio, rising and sun. You would make a really good therapist, though. You might work really well in even like a psychiatric ward. You're going to be able to deal with crisis really well. You could be a really good first responder as well, because you can deal sort of with the death side of things, or the like surgery, blood and things like that. I'm getting kind of like I say for Pisces. So you again are going to have a great fear of death, and death may loom over you. And you may always be escaping it. You may feel like you have 9 lives, or you may have no fear of it. And for some of these placements, like say you had someone you knew die young violently, they could potentially have these placements. But a lot of you are going to be very solid. You're double fixed sign. You get stuff done as an Aries moon. So you could be very productive. You could build a very strong empire with like a fortress around it, okay? It's going to be like a very secret code for people to get in the gates. Like if this is your parent, you know, they might have like a code at the gate. Like there might be like 3 different doorways with different kinds of locks, you know. And so it reminds me how it's like the Winchester mansion. Now, that would be interesting because that lady, she would have like, she felt bad, I think. If you guys know anything about that, it was like the Winchester guns. I worked at this place, this restaurant that was kind of crazy with all these mazes and obstacles. People would say it's like the Winchester mansion, but it's like the, you know, the Winchester, I think it's Winchester. It's a gun brand, the family, the woman, the wife, when the husband died, she felt bad for all the people that had like died from gun violence. So she like thought that all the ghosts were haunting her or something. So she like built all these mazes to like trap the ghosts or something. So I feel like that could be maybe like you could be a medium here, and that could be maybe something like, but you know, Aries is worse. So it's just, I feel like if we looked at someone like her, she might have like strong Scorpio, Aries, and maybe Pisces in her chart. I'm just getting that here. For some of you, if you are not the eccentric one, you are going to know someone like one of your, possibly if you're double Scorpio, Aries moon, you might have come from like a family that was really bizarre like that, you know, and it almost is like the Addams family type of vibe, you know, is what I'm getting, like cool but different, you know. I don't know, I'm getting that very strongly here. And that might be why, you know, in your own mind, if you don't connotate it with astrology, or in other people's minds, why you are a mystery or different. But you'll definitely be someone that people wish that they could know, but you probably won't let a lot of people get to know you, if that makes sense. All right, I'm going to take a quick break and then we'll get into Sagittarius. So quick note before we go into Sagittarius rising, I do have to say about Scorpio Sun, or Scorpio rising, and I had said this with the Gemini Sun, Scorpio rising, Aries Moon combination, and someone commented, you know, everything with Scorpio is always, they say we're all about sex, you know, and that's because, you know, Scorpio rules the 8th house of that and reproduction. And I said, you know, that combination might be a little more, you know, experimental or something like that. So I don't want to offend any of you. You know, some of you might be quite reserved with a Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, but I do feel like with this triple Mars sort of rulership with the Scorpio rising, you might be quite, let's say experimental. Even though I kind of connotate that a little more with Gemini, like K-I-N, K-Y and stuff. But I do feel like you might be very comfortable in your own skin when it comes to your sexuality. You might really like to, you know, there could be a little bit of like sub dom or experiment, you know, you might be really into things like that. You might, you know, be into exotic type of lifestyles or careers as well. So I just have to put that out there for some of you. Some of you may be quite reserved and very family oriented also. So, you know, I'm not saying that's a given. I'm just saying that you're probably going to be either, again, that extreme, really reserved and only that way with your partner, or, you know, or even if you're just with one partner, you still might be curious, you know. As much as Scorpio is mysterious, I feel like it's very perceptive and quite curious and interested. They say, you know, to be interesting, you have to be interested. So that definitely could be in that area for those of you here. Now with Sagittarius rising, there, you know, again, with neighboring signs, there's going to be a little overlap. So some of you may relate to that as well. But with Sagittarius rising, you guys are going to be, you know, like with all Sagittarius risings, your Jupiter ruled, you rule the 9th house of travel. So you are more likely with an Aries moon, Sagittarius rising here to live further away from home. Although I feel like for a lot of you, it might be that your family moves to like another country. Maybe when you're young or you're older, like you might migrate the whole family. You're not as apt to move away from the family as other sun signs here, but it is possible with a Scorpio or with a Sagittarius rising. You would be more likely than the other combinations in this video to move, you know, further away from home, because Jupiter rules foreign travel. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces. Now, Pisces normally more are escapists in their mind, more so than actually moving, but some do. Sagittarius more so. Also, Sagittarius rules higher education and sort of dogmatic religion. So those are always themes with the Sagittarius rising as well. With any sort of sun-moon combination, you may be very into the religion of origin, or even just any kind of religion that is structured and organized, or you may be one of the most educated in your family. With a Scorpio sun, especially if you, I feel like with a Scorpio sun, you may likely come from a very educated family, though. Not so much, like I just had said, which is possible also. I'm like contradicting myself. You might be the most educated in your family, but with the Scorpio sun, you may just have come from a very educated family and also become very educated yourself. You know, you have again, with an Aries moon, it's very independent. So you're able to sort of detach from what your friends or your family are doing and really research and study with that Scorpio moon and get those higher credentials. and you're very interested again in people and history and things like that. So some of you, I just feel, maybe historians, but you definitely will be, or philosophical, with that Sagittarius placement. You definitely, if you're not, like, say, traditionally educated in a structure, which is very common here, you will be just very well read or highly intelligent. But that's kind of more the Scorpio part here. I feel like with Sagittarius, you'll be very wise. So you'll be like the guru, because Scorpio sees the answers clearly, like a seer almost, and Sagittarius has the wisdom and can kind of relate it philosophically. So I do feel like, even if you don't go into the law field per se, which is also Jupiter and Sagittarius, you will be able to navigate those kinds of things in your life really well when they do come up. Let's see. So you would be someone that, like, people would come to advice on, like, oh, well, how do I pick a lawyer? Or, what should I do here? Let's see what else. Even if you don't, like, move away from home at some point from your home of origin, you will be interested in travel if you don't end up traveling. With Scorpio Sun, I do feel like you'll be really possibly interested in the histories of foreign places. Again, going back to, like, the historian element. Really loving to research and learn about those things. Some of you may be really into researching and learning about the law. If you do become a lawyer with this placement, you will know all of the textbook law. Like, you will know exactly, almost intuitively as a Scorpio, what to reference. So it'll be like, oh, I remember this one case and that will work here. So, if you're young and you're trying to figure out a career to go into, law wouldn't be a bad one to look into. And with an Aries moon, again, you'll have the independence to be able to do all of that kind of study. But even if you aren't ambitious, I was thinking I was just thinking one of these combinations is going to be quite ambitious. I do feel like Sagittarius rising might be one of the more ambitious ones. Even if you're not, if because you're Scorpio Sun, you do like to stay closer to home. I just feel like, and again, I don't know all my Scorpios, it's moon and rising placements. I feel like you will just, like, know other cultures really well. If you do cook, again, that'd be sort of a Taurus rising as well. You will know, like, you'll be able to cook other types of food, right? Like, if you're Asian, you'll be able to cook Mexican food really good, right? Or if you're American, you'll be able to cook, Italian food. You'll be able to cook, like, no matter what culture you are, you'll be able to cook, like, Asian, Italian cuisine, I always say that wrong, Mexican, like, any type of food that's deals with another culture, you'll just be able to pick it up. And if you don't cook it, you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy learning, like, what are the traditions behind this, etc. So if you are, and you just, even if you don't travel to foreign countries, you'll love to just go out and explore, especially with an Aries moon. That's the pioneer, right? In Sagittarius, you're just gonna have that energy, so you'll be on the go quite a bit, even if it's locally, even though that's a little more Gemini local travel. But with Scorpio, it might keep you a little closer to home, so you'll go, like, as far as you can. But, like, you might go visit all the other types of, I'm just using food as an example. You can apply it however it might be, other things you're interested in here, but you're gonna love to learn, okay, with this placement, because Scorpio loves to research. Aries loves to learn. It's the baby, so it's learning everything. It loves new things, okay? And Sagittarius, again, is wisdom and higher education. So you are going to be someone who just can't learn enough about anything. Like, just more wisdom, more power. Like, you just love learning about everything and everyone, especially things that are different from yourself, okay? Now, if you are, and so if you love one of these people, you have to be quite adventurous, or at least open-minded. And if you don't like to learn, you at least, might take an interest in the things that they have to tell you. Being a good listener here. Although with the Scorpio Sun, they will be good listeners as well, and they'll want to learn all about you. But if you take an interest in, because, like, it's like, say you're with this person and they don't talk much because they're Scorpio Sun, when they do talk, like really listen, because you'll learn a lot and they'll appreciate it about you. All right. And they're going to be high energy, even though, you know, they may need a lot of downtime. So it might be one of these type of personalities that like kind of holds up for a long time, but then like has a spurt where they like go out and do a lot. So, you know, either accepting that or adapting to it or going along with it, is going to be key. All right. So Capricorn, I'm trying to make them 3 minutes each, but this is almost 2 hours now. So, like I already did about 7 minutes for you guys. So anyways, Capricorn rising. I haven't done one of these in a while either, so I guess I'm a little nervous. So I fill in the blanks. I'm sure Scorpio appreciates that. All right. It's like, cut away the unnecessary, you know, excess, right? Capricorn rising, Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, you are going to be one of the more, that was the one, ambitious ones, because Capricorn rules the midheaven. You are going to, from a very young age, see the top of the ladder and want to go there, right? A Capricorn is very career oriented. And as an earth sign, though, it's more methodical. So if you know, okay, for example, like a government job, because you will do well in like corporations or structures, you will say, okay, I'm going to plan my retirement. I want, you know, if I go with this company, I can be retired at this age, and you will want to fall into that. With a Scorpio Sun, you will, I feel like Scorpios are quite patient. I don't know if that's true though, because you are Mars ruled. But I tend to connotate the feminine signs as more patient. So you might really, for you as a Capricorn rising, you're going to research the best career. Maybe before you commit to it, but once you commit to it, you will stick to it. So if you're young, you might be going, okay, I want to find, like if you were one of my clients coming to me right now, especially Aries is pretty ambitious as well and wants to get things started. So if you're like a 20-year-old combo of this coming to me as a client, your question most likely is going to be something like, you know, what career could I do that's going to sustain me for life? You know, that I will be able to, you know, fulfill. Right. And for a lot of you with Scorpio suns, it's going to be something scientific. Entrepreneurship wouldn't be the worst here either. Kind of Sagittarius rising too, because that would be a real go-getter sign. And Aries rising. Capricorn rising, I have to say, actually, entrepreneurship, unless you have a real clear plan, like I had said, I think for Virgo rising as well. In the beginning, we were kind of talking about 5-year plans, I think. You know, if you can make a really clear structure for yourself on paper of, you know, this is the business model. And for some of you as a Scorpio sun, you may actually have those resources. From birth, again, it's going to be an extreme of you came from wealth or poverty, usually with Scorpio and Pluto. If you have a real clear plan of the business you want to build in the model, you will be able to see it through long term, or you will be looking for the best structure and take your time. And then once it's go time, you will jump in. Now, younger, you as an Aries moon, you might have to, when you're in your emotion, Scorpio, you might hit a few roadblocks when you're young, but I think you're going to figure it out rather quickly. Another thing I was going to say is that if you do come from a family that has like a family business, because a lot of Scorpio placements will kind of have that structure, like I said, I've seen that. Not all. Again, it's going to be either you're on your own or strong family structure, but more so one or the other than other signs where it might be like the family all did this and they could or they could not. Like you're either going to be all on your own, no idea where to start, and you figure it out because you're smart. Or it's already laid out for you and you have no problem. You're not, you know, you don't really need Aries moon. You might need to kind of burn your hand on the burner a few times, like a couple part-time jobs or something. But Capricorn rules the father. So Capricorn rising in your your sun is your identity, which is Scorpio, but your rising is how you operate in the world. So for some of you, especially males, you may just take over your father's business. That just might be the thing, and you'll have no issue with it. And then the structure will already be there for you, and you don't have to figure it out. If you love one of these people, know that they are going to be very career oriented. You know, so either you're going to be a homemaker, they could be a good provider, but they they'll be focused on you. When they are focused on you, Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, they'll be very focused on you. But when they're focused on their career, they'll be very focused on their career. I do feel like Capricorn is cardinal like Aries, so it could be a bit of a one-track mind here. So there may be times, if you're their partner, that you might feel a tad neglected, because when they are focused on you, it's so intense with that Scorpio Sun energy that, you know, you really feel them. And so when they're focused on career with that Capricorn rising, you know, you may really feel the absence of that with them. Okay. Let's see. Now let's hop into, and you know, I'd watch through if you're Capricorn rising, because something might come to me. I was thinking of you guys when I took my little break. And I thought of the ambition thing, you know, being the midheaven. From a young age, you're going to set your sights to the ceiling, right? Which is fine. You know, I appreciate ambition. So, Aquarius rising, Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon is going to be a very interesting character. I feel like Aquarius rules like electricity networks, social networks, like TV networks, humanitarian efforts. So some of you, again, like I've said with other Aquarius risings, and also with water placements in Virgo, you might be into volunteer work. You know, you could dedicate your life to it. It could be a little bit self-sacrificial here. I'm getting sort of that Pisces flavor to Scorpio here for some reason. So for some of you, Scorpio Suns, Aries Moons, you're very strong with that Pluto and Mars. So you can withstand, like, you're very resilient is the word I want to say. Not like strong, like resilient. So you're the type of person who could be like move to another country, you know, and shed all your possessions and really dedicate yourself to humanitarian efforts. That could be how you operate in the world. Okay, my battery's getting low here. So, you know, that's you guys. And so if you're their partner, unless you're like on the ground, on the feet, on the ground with them, you may feel a bit, you know, this is one, and a lot of Aquarius placements are this way, where you may not be a Scorpio that is in a long-term relationship. I mean, it's possible, but I mean, there might be 2%, like I'm going to say it's going to be like 2% here that are. Most of you are going to be quite independent, quite interested with the affairs of the world and doing your part. Really, again, able to shed any excess, any, you know, some of you could, because Scorpio is more reclusive, so you could kind of stay in your house like any Scorpio and just be more interested in the affairs of the world. You know, you might just work a normal job and donate your money to, like, you know, things. But I feel like a lot of you are going to want to be involved. Again, I'm also getting this because Aries gives a lot of stamina in the physical body. Some of you, this could be like a TV star type of placement as well, because Aquarius, again, rules TV networks. I don't feel like radio host so much, although air signs are more communicative. Aquarius isn't always the biggest talker, you know. They are more in their mind thinkers than the other air signs, but they are quite social. So I do feel like less likely to be a radio star, but very could well be like a TV actor. You know, because acting actually takes a lot of reclusion. Is reclusion a word? Like, you have to, you know, study your lines and get out there every day. So you definitely would have the discipline and the character traits inherently to be a good TV actor, right? Because and you might be quite successful at it with an Aquarius rising. So even if you're like a local celebrity or something, it's going to be more in the vein, though, of your presentation, I feel like. Then, you know, and as a Scorpio, you'll draw interest. Then it's going to be about talking so much, you know what I mean? You'll be able to memorize lines really easy as a Scorpio sun. So I'm saying, I don't know what percentage of you guys would be that, but I bet you if we like looked through like really prominent TV actors, because 12th house is more about film acting, that's Pisces, but Aquarius is about, you know, those kind of networks. So I mean, some of you could be influencers, really. You could be good influencers on social media, because again, you'd be able to kind of do the behind the scenes work as a Scorpio. Aries, you would have, you know, the ambition at home to like, okay, here, let me set up all these, you know, posts and schedule them, and you'll have that kind of attention, like, to detail and discipline to get it done, but make a nice presentation with the Aquarius rising. and get that kind of following. Okay, so I do feel like a lot of you could be successful influencers, but it's not going to be as much about speech as it's going to be about presentation and about drawing interest from the people. Okay, let's see. And if you love one of these people, again, you need to be interested in like the people, you know, whether that's just from home sitting on the couch because you're a Scorpio and a Taurus and you're together and you're like, oh, you know, I really care about that. Let's donate to that, or let's go volunteer there. Or it's like your whole life is dedicated to it. You might meet this person that way. Okay. So if you like meet them that way and you were just doing a little stint of it and then you figure out their whole life is dedicated to it, you know, something to be aware of too. I just want to say before we get into Pisces rising, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see the other videos. And also, if you are single, be sure to check out the astrology dating app that we created. It's the only one of its kind. It's moonmatch.love. Check it out. There's a bunch of people waiting in there to be matched. All right. So with that being said, Pisces rising, I really hope that you watched throughout. If you didn't, I would go back because I did mention a lot about different Pisces energies related to Scorpio because they are both water signs. So Pisces rising, Scorpio sun, Aries moon. Kind of going back to the other videos, Pisces is going to normally be really good with dealing, you know, you can make very good counselors, especially like drug and alcohol counselors. Some of you may struggle with that a bit here with this placement. I mean, I hate to like stereotype, but we are kind of, you know, interpreting different placements. Some of you may be very spiritual with a Pisces rising. You may really be into isolation with a Scorpio sun here. You know, Aries is very independent. So again, you, as some of the other combinations I mentioned, could more likely live a life of isolation, but I do feel like you would be quite emotional about it. So you are going to need to have some kind of support system so that you know, with loved ones who are maybe a bit emotional too with good water placements. Or you could resort to escapism through the mind and imagination. You know, some of you might make great novelists or love to read novels, like a Mars and Pisces kind of placement, because, you know, Mars rules Scorpio and Aries. So some of you may really live in your imaginations, and when you're out in the world, you may be a bit aloof, you know, you may be a bit of a daydreamer. You might have a hard time connecting with people unless they have good water in their chart. It might be really hard for you to actually find a mate that you connect with unless you just happen to bump into someone with like a fire moon that you click with. It could take you a while to find yourselves because you will really be in an imaginary, I hate to say like imaginary, but like fantasy is what I want to say. Like, you'll love to fantasize, daydream, conjure things up in your mind. You could be great inventors or thinkers, especially because I'm thinking, you know, Aries, and I was thinking like if you're Pisces, but you're Pisces rising here. So, but I was thinking if you have planets in Aries and you have your moon in Aries here. So, you know, you can actually, with your moon in Aries, you may spend a lot of your time trying to realize your dreams and fantasies. And whether that's like you know, do the practical stuff day in and day out, like, you know, you go to work and you go to school or whatever it is that you have to do. And then in your free time, you're a dreamer. Some of you, though, could struggle with putting all of your efforts into something that might not be able to be realized as easily as you may have thought. So I do feel like that with the Scorpio sun, you are going to be a bit realistic, and you might have to keep yourself in check. And you might do that. You might find yourself kind of escaping and going, oh, okay, I'm back. I'm a daydreamer, you guys. You know, double water in your chart. And if you are susceptible to any kind of depression, though, you do have to be careful here. With an Aries moon, you could be quite impatient and impulsive. So if you do, you know, you really want to be aware of your coping mechanisms. And I feel like for some of you, you're just naturally from a young age going to be very self-aware. Very aware of others, like the collective unconscious is Pisces. Very attuned to others with Scorpio and Pisces placements here. And very empathic, like you're going to feel other people a lot. So you have to be very careful not to absorb other people's energies. Now, I do feel like your Aries moon will shield you a bit from that. You know, it will help you to be more, give you more self-preservation, the Scorpio Aries here. But self-awareness is going to be key to discern the boundaries. Out of all the combos in this video, you're going to have a harder time discerning boundaries than others. Now, again, extremes, it may be really easy for you, but I think for you guys, it's going to be a learning process. Because you will just naturally absorb other people's energy. Now, if you just happen, you know, Scorpio Sun, I do feel like is very blessed with having usually a good family unit. So if you do have that, you, like say your mom's a Cancer and your dad's a Pisces and you're Scorpio Sun, Pisces rising, you know, depending on their moon signs and how it nourishes your Aries moon, you may just really be able to kind of just float through life and just be like this really cool, dynamic Scorpio, you know, that really feels people and gets people and sees through them, and just can really, you know, you would do really good. Like if you are into the occult, you would be a very good tarot reader. I'm sure you're very intuitive here. And with the Aries moon, you will be able to stay a little bit detached from like other people's problems. But if you don't balance it, like if you just find yourself getting caught up in that, like feeling other people, it'll be quite a jolt when the Aries moon kicks in. It'll be like, like get these people away from me. I want to do this and that, you know. And for some people, like if they, like say you have like the water parents I just described, and say they're like double water, so they don't have any fire in their chart. When you get like that, they may get very sensitive. So, you know, being aware of, you know, really being aware of your Aries moon here is going to be important. You know, when you're being impulsive, it can be directed very well with the Scorpio Sun, but it could hurt you or bite you a little. Like you could, you know, when we're dealing with fire and water elements, it's steamy. So it's like you could turn the steam on and then burn yourself. So I know with some of the other Aries moon videos, I've said that some of them are prone to like, I think it's with some of the earth placements, and air, you know, earth can get scorched by fire easily, so they can burn themselves. Here, it's like a steam burn. You have to be careful of, like, you have to be aware of when you're in your water energy most of the time, that when you switch to your fire energy. Now with Mars too, you could, especially when you're younger, like I said, you could just be very headstrong. I don't know why I'm getting that here. But kind of like soft. So it's going to be a little bit challenging at times, because I feel like most of the time when you're operating your Scorpio and Pisces energy, you're going to be very like in tune with yourself and with others. But when the Aries kicks in and you need alone time, because, you know, the moon is your home, and so you really need to make your home your sanctuary here. It's almost like strong Neptune placements. That's Pisces ruler. You need to have some kind of sanctuary where it, and for some of you as an Aries, it might be out of the home, even though the moon rules the home. But as a Scorpio, you might be home a lot. So, I mean, finding, it reminds me of, I have a Pisces friend, or I was a Pisces teacher that I had, and I have a Libra friend actually with a Pisces moon. So I guess this is Pisces rising, but I know for those Pisces placements, they have their actual places that they go. Like one of them had like a beautiful garden in like California. It's like almost like, I don't know if it has koi fish or something, but it's some kind of garden like that. And especially near water. Water is going to be very critical for you. I said something about campfire near water earlier with Aries moon. You might really find that if you've ever been camping, if you don't live in the city or something, or even if you're in the city, like sitting next to a fire pit with like a waterfall in some kind of, you know, internal landscaping type setting, or out in nature next to water with a fire, might be one of your favorite places to be. But finding like your sanctuary in the home, but also finding that place outside of the home where you can kind of meditate. Meditation is going to be really good for you. You might naturally do that though. You might actually just do that. Like people might be like, you zone out and you leave. And you're like, yeah, like I'm an Aries moon. Like, I don't care what you think. You know, even Scorpio suns can be like that. And let's see, just what other thing? Yeah, so, and my other friends, like, he told me he was waiting on something to come in the mail. It was like big news when he was younger, the Pisces moon. And he had this place that he would walk, like a boardwalk, and when it was quiet at night, no one was there. So you definitely want to have something like that. That's going to give you like that independence of that Mars and Aries energy, but also just that quiet tranquility where you can meditate, you know, and you can clear your mind. Because when you're going to be quite ingenious too, like I told you, I think I said this, I don't know if it's for now, it's gotten long. I hate that Pisces is always last, but you might be quite inventive. Yeah, and ingenious. So for some of you, clearing your mind will help you separate, like when you have these fantasies, what's really tangibly fulfillable, which Scorpio can help you discern, and what's not, and kind of separating the wheat from the chaff, or however they say that. Meditation will really help you do that here, because you're going to pick up on a lot of energies, and then at the end of the day you're going to have to really take care of yourself with that Aries moon, and sometimes you might neglect yourself. That'll be the pitfall here. So if you love one of these people, you know, make sure to give them space, you know, to think. Don't badger them if they're like if they're non-responsive sometimes, but also, you know, encourage their dreams and help them discern what's realistic and what's not, and don't criticize them. I think they might, as a Scorpio sun, have a hard shell to criticism. I don't think you'll really hurt their feelings necessarily. Maybe a little. They might resent you if you get them good, you know, and normally you can't get them and you say one thing. But they, you know, take them seriously, because their dreams could be real. Because their dreams could be realized with that powerful Scorpio sun, Aries moon, Mars, Pluto, you know, double Mars, Pluto combination. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. We got it done finally. I'm going to start Sagittarius moon, Aries, Sagittarius sun, Aries moon soon. But definitely comment if you want to see some other sort of combination. I'm sending you all love, blessings, and light as always.